Step number two is an opportunity to reflect on what it is that you want and what it is that you need as part of your career and professional development. And to me, this is a very important step because sometimes academia, I feel like, is like a sort of a river. Sometimes it's a rough river and a rapid river. Sometimes it's a slow-flowing river. But you can be on that river and make your way through the sort of the different stages without having to do too much, right? You go from an undergraduate, you then get a master's or a PhD, and you finish the PhD and you can go into a postdoc. And there's not too many decisions that you need to make necessarily to stay on that river. It's when you get to the end of the postdoc is when you definitely want to be able to make confident decisions about your career next steps, whether that is continuing on into academia with the challenges of applying for faculty roles, or pivoting to a wide range of fields that are going to leverage your skills and experience and knowledge. But in order to pivot effectively, you have to have some ability to sort of make that transition effectively, right? So you have to know what the steps are, and you have to know about yourself and what value you bring. You have to be aware of the skills, knowledge, and experience that can be applied to different settings. And so taking some time to reflect on what's going to be important to you and what is important to you and what your skills, interests, and values are is going to be helpful. Now, the sort of the lazy river flowing downstream is very calming. This career exploration roadmap, which is just an example of a type of career exploration, feels a little bit overwhelming just looking at it in comparison, but it's not actually that overwhelming. It's just demonstrating that in order to sort of do effective career exploration, there are sort of multiple steps that you need to take. And as part of that experience, you are always iterating, you're always reconsidering and taking the information that you have and the experiences that you have and reflecting on those. And so coming into your PhD or coming into your postdoc, you may have had a very clear idea about what you wanted to do. At the end of your postdoc, having reflected on what you've seen around you and the people that you've worked with, you might change your mind and have different ideas about what you want because you want something different, in your working life, in your work-life balance, in the type of work that you're doing, right? So that's okay. It's okay to reflect on information and then say, well, given what I know and what I've experienced, I would like to do something different, or I would like to, do the same thing, and I want to do that more effectively. So again, this is just an example of what career exploration can look like, and you can find the link in the article to this moving forward. What I want to focus on at the very beginning here is this sort of the self-assessment part, right? So what am I interested in? What am I good at? What's important to me? What careers might I like beyond just, the faculty path that perhaps everyone had some intention of going into, not everyone, but many people, and what careers might fit my my interests, my skills, and my values, right? So these are important questions. And if you've been very busy, sort of focused on your research, sometimes you haven't had the time to reflect on these. And now is always a good time. No matter where you are in your postdoc, it's always a good time to do some self-reflection. Now, to do this effectively, you can use some of the tools that are out there. You don't have to do this on your own. You don't have to figure out the sort of the questions to ask. And so if you are in the humanities and social sciences as a postdoc, the Imagine PhD tool is a great starting point. And I'll use this as an example and show you some of the other tools as well. This is focused on careers in general, not just expanded or faculty careers, but considering all of those as different career paths. And part of this tool is to help you reflect on your skills, interests, and values, because understanding what these things are for you helps you make better decisions about what you want to do next and helps you position yourself more effectively for what you want to do next. And so when you sign on to this tool, and it's a free online tool, it's not specific to Penn, everyone can access that, you can do these assessments, interests, skills, and values. You can do this if you're a STEM person too, because this is a nice tool and a nice interface to use. So as an example, here's the skill assessment sort of results based on what I did when I was going through this process. You get to sort of drag and drop different skills from different areas, research and management and leadership and professional, into these categories of I've never done this, all the way to the other end of I can do this really well, right? And so you begin to see what sort of comes naturally to you in terms of skills or what skills you've practiced over time. You begin to see what areas could be skills that you could build during the time as a postdoc, right? And these are all helpful as you reflect on how you want to grow professionally. This map, it doesn't sort of tell you what you should do with these skills, but it allows you to then reflect on, are the skills that you have a good match for the roles that you're interested in? Or are there things that you can do or learn that make you a better match for whatever that is, faculty roles or otherwise? So again, this is just skills. There's an interest one, there's a value one that you can do as well as part of the Imagine PhD process. For the STEM fields, you can use the MyIDP tool. This is a slightly older tool, but it's based on the same process of realizing that this whole career development process is a cycle, right? And it starts off with self-assessing and then exploration, which we'll talk about, setting goals, which is the IDP part, the individual development plan part, and then implementing a plan, right? So both Imagine PhD and MyIDP have the assessment part, but also the individual development plan. I think those of you in the School of Medicine might have, your own IDPs that you might do with your PIs. I don't know if that's consistent across all of Penn. What you say to your PI and what you say to yourself may be different. Sometimes you have different goals, and those are sort of private goals that you might have. That's fine too. But the individual development plan obviously is a sense of, here are the things that I can do over the next year or so to help prepare me for whatever that next step might be. So in terms of the MyADP, this is, again, an example of interests where they're ranked 1 to 5. I would like to never do this in my career, to I would like to do this often in my career. And you get to sort of put things into different categories, right? So doing statistics for me is, I would never like to do this in my career, which is why as someone with a PhD in animal behavior, I'm no longer doing research in that area, right? So again, it's helpful to know some of these things and just reflect on that as you're going through your consideration of what next steps might look for you. If you're in the chemical sciences, there's a Chem IDP that's created by the American Chemical Society. Same process, same assessment, same IDP part, but just focus more on the careers that you might have interest in. And again, just as an example, these are, it's the same process of trying to figure out what's important to you from a skills, interest, and values perspective, and then what you can do with that. So these are great tools to use if you've never done these before, if you've never or haven't recently taken the time to reflect on what you do well. If you want to sort of operationalize what you're learning from those experiences, certainly you can meet with us here at Career Services. You can also go through some of the resources that we have on our other online tool called the PhD Career Training Platform, designed specifically for the PhD and postdoc experience, exploring both faculty and professional careers out there. So once you sign into this resource with your Penn key and password, you'll be able to look through the different tools that they have. And I put this home screen on there just to show you that across the top, they have an interview library, which will talk about professional careers, faculty careers, right? So both of those are represented within this tool. But the videos that I want to show you that they have are these ones, right? So what do you do? What skills have you developed? What motivates you? Because you can do a lot of things that you're not motivated by. So what is it that actually motivates you? What will the world pay you to do? And I really like the way that this is phrased, because obviously you want a good return on your investment for any of your time spent being a postdoc and gaining the PhD in many ways. And so understanding how valuable your skills are is important. And then how do you design your PhD transition story? And again, the way this is phrased is transitioning from someone who may be interested only in faculty roles to someone interested in the broader spectrum of careers that are out there. So these are all going to be resources that I think are going to be helpful to you just to give you some structure to this process. And what's most important about this platform is that they also have workbooks that you can work through, right? So it's not just dumping into a bunch of videos. You can go through the companion workbook and sort of check off all the steps necessary to do this. And if you want to bring that and your progress to us at Career Services and say, this is where I am, this is what I know, this is what I've learned about myself, that's great. We'll be happy to chat with you about that. So why is it important to do this? Because ultimately, you would hopefully want to be in a role, a career role, where the job itself is aligned with your skills, interests, and values, right? Where the things that you do well and that you enjoy doing are the things that you do in your role. Sometimes you don't know if that's the case, right? When you're looking at the expanded set of careers that are out there, you don't know what these roles are. You've never had them before. But if you know that what's important to you is working as part of a team, which isn't something necessarily that you see in academia, for example. Teamwork as a sort of a PI is very different from teamwork in other types of fields. But if that's important to you, then you can leverage that as part of your networking to say to people, hey, in your role doing this thing, do you get to be part of a team? Or what does that feel like? Or what does that look like? And then you can use that as a data point to say, could I do that myself? Would I enjoy being in this area? Would I enjoy using that skill in this context? The more you understand your skills, the more you can talk about them in action, and you can showcase the value that you bring to whatever field you're interested in, right? So, but you have to be able to advocate for the value that you bring. So you need to have a nice understanding of what that range of skills, knowledge, and experiences that you have, what they are and how you can describe them so that people can see value in that. Because you all have extremely diverse and effective range of skills, knowledge, and experiences that you can leverage.